Say in my house, we say, don't let the cats out and don't let the cops in.
You should have something better to do with your life, young woman.
What, defending the unborn and coming out?
The unborn are a convenient group of people to advocate for. They never make demands of you, they are morally uncomplicated. Unlike the incarcerated, addicted, or the chronically poor, they don't resent your condescension or complain that you are not politically correct. Unlike orphans, they don't need money, childcare, or education. They allow you to feel good about yourself without any work at creating or maintaining relationships. And when they are born, you can forget about them because they cease to be unborn. You can love the unborn and advocate for them without substantially challenging your own wealth, power, or privilege, without reimagining social structures, apologizing, or making reparations to anyone. They are, in short, the perfect people to love if you want to claim you love Jesus, but actually dislike people who breathe. Prisoners, immigrants, the sick, the poor, widows, orphans, all the groups that are specifically mentioned in the Bible, they all get thrown under the bus for the unborn.
There are only two options, she, her, and he, him. One of them has nuts.
For me, this ad perfectly encapsulates the problem with conservative thinking. Conservatism puts an overemphasis on the way that things used to be, an exaggeration over the importance of tradition. But this thinking stands in the way of innovation, imagination, and actually solving any of our problems. They're trapped in nostalgia for a world that never existed. This chocolate advert wants to return to a world where there was just she, her, and he, him, just two categories. Remember when only men had nuts? Isn't it hilarious how far society has fallen? Ha 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 ha. They're not interested in productively adding to the conversation around trans people or any solution to any other systemic problem. Conservatives can only react to progressives. If our aim is to move society forward, then conservatism by design is designed to keep us stuck or even regress us further. But there was no world where there was only she, her, and he, him. Trans people have always existed. This world that conservatives want to protect and return to doesn't exist because trans people have always existed. What they're really nostalgic for is for a world where their power went unquestioned, where they didn't have to deal with the shame of acknowledging their own privilege, a world where they don't have to do any critical thinking or acknowledge the suffering of anyone else. But that world never existed.
Pronouns have become an issue. Mahi mahi is now pronounced mahi, him, her, ex. So,
There is far more toxic boy-mom content than there is toxic girl-dad content, I promise. All you have to do is type in boy-mom in the search bar, and you'll find exactly what I'm about to show you. Just a lot of it. "8 years old. Keep note of that.
They say when God gives you a son, it's because you deserve to know what true love is.
You will be popular. You're gonna be popular."
And this last one takes the cake. Like, can you imagine thinking your child is attractive enough to make this post? But sure, I haven't seen more toxic boy-mom content than toxic girl-dad content. So like I said in my original video, if you agree with any of this, go to therapy. You need it.
I can only see your face when I close my eyes. Can I get a kiss? And can you make it last forever? I said I'm about to go to war, and I don't know if I'll see you again. Can I get a kiss? And can you make it last forever?
I would suggest going and watching this creator's entire video about toxic boy moms, because there is an actual term for this, and it is called emotional incest. It is a type of child abuse. I think any kind of family member can have an emotionally incestuous relationship with another, but I do see it really often with mothers, especially single mothers to their sons, because they treat their sons like some kind of stand-in husband. As a victims advocate, I have spoken to a lot of women who were victims of violent crimes such as domestic violence and sexual assault. And in a disturbing number of cases, the victim tells me that her abuser or rapist had this kind of dysfunctional relationship with his mother. This type of mother sees her son's partners as competition because she sees her son as her man. Many of them will even coach their son to abuse and control their partner. And when his victim accuses him of the crime that she encouraged him to commit, she will aggressively defend him, deny that anything happened, and even come after the victim. And if you are that victim, she's your new abuser now. She will stalk, harass, threaten, and do things to purposefully try to ruin your life. Because this is what she's done for his entire life, which has taught him to lack accountability for his actions. Abusive fathers also have a big role to play in their son becoming violent offenders. But we're just talking about this dynamic right now because I've heard it from so many women.
Hi, ladies. How you doing?
I want to kill you!
Oh, yeah. Take a number, honey.
There are only two options. She, her, and he, him. One of them has nuts.
For me, this ad perfectly encapsulates the problem with conservative thinking. Conservatism puts an overemphasis on the way that things used to be, an exaggeration over the importance of tradition. But this thinking stands in the way of innovation, imagination, and actually solving any of our problems. They're trapped in nostalgia for a world that never existed. This chocolate advert wants to return to a world where there was just she, her, and he, him, just two categories. Remember when only men had nuts? Isn't it hilarious how far society has fallen? Ha 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 ha. They're not interested in productively adding to the conversation around trans people or any solution to any other systemic problem. Conservatives can only react to progressives. If our aim is to move society forward, then conservatism by design is designed to keep us stuck or even regress us further. But there was no world where there was only she, her, and he, him. Trans people have always existed. This world that conservatives want to protect and return to doesn't exist because trans people have always existed. What they're really nostalgic for is for a world where their power went unquestioned, where they didn't have to deal with the shame of acknowledging their own privilege, a world where they don't have to do any critical thinking or acknowledge the suffering of anyone else. But that world never existed.
So I have a wheelchair, and it has bare push handles that also don't fold down, and to some people that looks like an invitation to just walk up to you and push you. So I'm going to fix it. And I don't have money to buy like the fancy covers, so instead I have a bunch of push pins, and cosplay fabric scraps. So I have this like bottom of, I think it was like a shirt slash hoodie. And I'm thinking that this like extra thick strip here would go nicely as a cover. My push handles have a circumference of 11 centimeters, but I decided to cut the material to 10 centimeters because it's a little bit stretchy, which turned out to be perfect. And after a bit of stitching, I have a cover. Now I just need to add the spikes. My plan is to just poke these into the cover and then hot glue them in place. And it ends up looking like this, which is a little messy, but that's fine because no one's going to be seeing this side anyway. But after it gets flipped inside out, it doesn't look too bad. And I can definitely confirm that these are unpleasant to touch.
Notice you taking a liking to my boyfriend Stan.
Oh, well, I've taken a liking to all of you. You're all so young and cute and full of life.
Can I tell you something, Miss Ellen?
Of course, Wendy.
Don't f*** with me.
TikTok is for 3 things and 3 things only. That is being told I am autistic, being told I am a lesbian, and watching strong women lift heavy things.
We found a spider in the house. You freaked and you jumped up onto the couch. Since I was close and able, I jumped up on the coffee table. You said you should kill that. I said no, fuck that. You said come on, be a man. What? You're a total anti-sexist, a patriarchy fighter, but your whole worldview collapses the moment there's a spider. Cool, I get it, this is the real you, it's a pleasure, nice to meet you. Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around. Fight.
A symbol.
There's stones. I'll dance, dance, dance with my hands, hands, hands above my head, head, head. Like Jesus said, I'm gonna dance, dance, dance with.
Oh, quick reminder, the Nazis aren't somewhere else. They're right here in my neighborhood, and here's what you can do about it. Google 1488 and stop being respectful towards the Republicans in your life. I'm being serious. Holocaust 2 is coming because there's no societal pressure for them to stop. Stop them now, or I'm gonna have to buy a gun and stop them later.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
I've been seeing a lot of people lately saying, like, why don't we protest like the French? And if you're wondering what I mean, this is what I mean. This is a video from a French protest showing them burning a cardboard cutout of their president. Aptly reminiscent of a funeral pyre because they are threatening the president for raising the age of retirement by 2 years. Now, what I think a lot of you are forgetting is that we did protest like this, and we still continue to do so. Like, do you guys not remember this absolutely badass moment when people burned down the police station in Minneapolis during the George Floyd protests? I was there at Barclays Center getting pepper sprayed, watching police cars run into groups of people. We protest like that. And it's really insidious how hard capitalism has worked to keep us suppressed under the system. A lot of American news outlets worked really hard to villainize the protests that were happening, unless they were absolutely peaceful, maybe shutting down a street or a highway. Even then, they still had rubber bullets and mace and pepper spray and people dying at these protests. And still, American news sources are even painting the French protest as also being violent and bad, something that should be looked down upon. And now I'm seeing a lot of young people in America begging for a general strike, which is absolutely amazing and definitely the direction we need to be heading into, but a lot of you lack theory and actual historical context for how general strikes happen. Oh, but what does capitalism have to do with this? Union busting. I'll tell you right now, union busting. The French are able to throw the fuck down because they believe in their unions. Without unions, we'd have more than a 5-day work week, we'd have more than a 40-hour work week, and we'd still have children being our coworkers. And you also can't have a general strike without absolute work stoppages. Like this. This does not happen without a union planning and providing for people. Like, do you know how fast things would change in America if, like, the trains just stopped? That's why it's illegal for train employees to strike. Norfolk Southern. Or if mail carriers stop striking. And this is how modern day media and capitalism have teamed us to stop us from taking our fucking rights back. Have you ever seen a protest or work stoppage on a major news outlet being shown in a positive light? When teachers struck for better COVID conditions, they were slaughtered in the media. And they were just trying to literally save lives and get better pay for doing their hard work. The media has fostered such a culture of anti-union, anti-work stoppage that we can't get anything done. And as soon as there's even a mild convenience, like garbage pile up or something like that due to a general strike, the public immediately turns tide and starts attacking the striking workers. Even as in many cases, they are striking to protect the general public. And a lot of people talk very negatively about their union dues, but I don't think people understand that unions are big organizations and they need people that are specifically paid to run those unions. You have to pay people for accounting, you have to pay people for note taking, you have to pay people for organizing a union. Part of your union dues should also go towards a strike fund. So when there is a labor condition violation and, say like train workers decide to strike, they have money saved up to pay people while they're striking so they aren't going hungry or like getting kicked out of their houses. Like I said previously, we didn't just like get given all of the rights we have today. People fought and organized tooth and nail for them. Some of the largest unions ever were founded by socialists and communists. The American Federation of Labor, or AFL, was funded in 1886 by Samuel Gompers. He was a known activist. And at its height, AFL had 1.4 million union members. Like when Roe versus Wade was overturned, imagine somebody being able to text 1.4 million people and having a large majority of these people show up into the streets and actually stop capitalist production systems, therefore losing people money. So the people in power actually care about what's happening instead of just like seeing it on TV and being like, I don't care, poor people, Now, eventually, AFL merged with a few other organizations and they created the Congress of Industrial Organizations, or the CIO. And eventually, the CIO purged all the communists and even had some arrested during the Cold War. And of course, after militant communists and socialists were purged from the organizations, the power of labor slowly began to decline thereafter. Communists and socialists are why we have the rights we have right now. And our ability to fight for better has been whittled down, both from the outside and the inside. And I think also in combination with like American exceptionalism, we are really resistant to like doing anything that is for the greater good or that emphasizes class struggle because people hate recognizing what privileges they do or don't have. So if you want a better life, if you want a general strike, if you don't want your rights to be taken away or people like me to be slaughtered in the streets, it's time to start organizing your workplaces or reading up about theory of like rank and file and everything like that. If you're already in a workplace or trade that has a strong union base, now would be a good time to start getting involved with that, both in the organizing and like encouraging your coworkers to actually join and pay dues to this. We as people have all the power. The knowledge that we do has just been beaten out of us systemically for hundreds of years so that rich people can keep getting richer and we keep getting poorer. And I think now is especially an important time to start learning about the history of organizing and what has won us rights and what hasn't. Good luck out there, y'all.
Who do you think the hottest girl in school is? The Epcot ball? Well, I like Melanie, and not just because she's pretty. I think she's really funny.
My 4C hair looks like this every day and literally nobody cares. Some of you lament that 4C hair is the most difficult hair texture in the world because you're putting an insane amount of physical, emotional, and financial effort into changing it, which I understand because I too used to try to tame my hair to make it look more presentable, which meant looser, shinier, and longer, but that's bullshit. I don't need the 200-step lock method. I don't need twist outs. I actually fucking hate braids. I don't need to buy whatever new magic oil some rando is marketing today. My wash day is 15 minutes and it's actually relaxing for a change. I feel so free. My 4C hair is super easy because I'm not trying to shapeshift.
Let's write a letter for my blind husband. Usually order him a Braille card. I didn't have time to this year. Now I have to type one out myself. I gotta write the letter on paper so that I actually like write a long heartfelt letter. Next I use this Braille alphabet transcriber and also this transcription dictionary. He has this awesome machine that's kind of like a typewriter for Braille. Special piece of paper. Now here's the hard part. I have to take every letter in my note, find the letter it matches with in Braille. Each dot is a different number. So these 6 keys make different letters based on which ones I push down. It takes so long. E, A, R. Almost done. Just kidding, that was only the first 2 lines. Oh, I have so long to go. It's gonna be so many pages. And when I mess up, which is like all the time, I have to use the back of my fingernail to rub the Braille out to erase it. Watch. And then you can't feel it anymore. All finished. Took 3 pages. One love, baby. I love you.
All right. I will show you Phil Finnegan. Here he is. He hangs out by the coffee bar in the kitchen. And now I know what you're thinking. Hannah, he's not scary. He looks handsome and dapper. No, Phil Finnegan is creepy. And if you lived in the same house as Phil Finnegan, you would understand. Now, as you can see, he has this little tray. Currently, he is serving up an edible. Now, it is considered bad luck in this house for Phil Finnegan to have an empty platter. You don't want to know what happens if Phil Finnegan has an empty platter. It doesn't matter what it is. He could serve up a piece of candy. Right now, he has a gummy. Sometimes it's a cough drop if we're feeling sick. He serves up whatever is needed. I don't like him very much, but we've learned how to go.
I love him.
I know you do.
He's great.
He creeps me out, man. He's always got this slight smile. He creeps me out. We got him 3 years ago. He was the first one of the 1 item per room rule. And he's
my favorite.
He's been here ever since. But Phil Finnegan creeps me the fuck out.
Why do you see no women of color when you look up belly dance on TikTok? It's because the belly dance industry is more colorist than people think it is. Also, TikTok rewards white people for doing my job.
I'm a bitch, and I only allow my girlfriend to put 1 piece of decor in every room of our house. That's the rule. She gets 1 thing. The rest of it, I decorate. Because she has very questionable taste. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, this is what Kelsey just found.
He's going in the entryway. Ain't he cute?
Like, just picture, if she was allowed to just decorate however she wanted, our house would... No, our house would be full of scary pigs and Phil Finnegans. If you're wondering what Phil Finnegan is, he's our scary friend that she put in the kitchen. So that's why she only gets 1 thing.
Sometimes I forget that autistic people speak in between the lines. I was grocery shopping with my husband the other day, and he's autistic and I am autistic. He comes up to me and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get some sloppy joes. So I was like, okay, cool. And then later that week, he was like, okay, let's have sloppy joes for dinner. And I was like, no, I don't like sloppy joes. I don't want those. And he was like, why did I buy them the other day? I told you I was getting sloppy joes. But in between the lines of I'm gonna get some sloppy joes was actually, I'm thinking about having sloppy joes for dinner this week. Would you like to partake in that with me? But I don't think in between the lines a lot. And so when he said, I'm gonna buy some sloppy joes, I was like, cool, sounds good to me. I don't like those, but you can have them. And then once we talked about it a little bit more, it made a lot more sense, and it was a good learning opportunity for both of us. And then we had pizza.
Not my circus, not my monkeys, not my... Oh. My circus, my monkeys.
I'll always be a dumb one. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum.
I don't know. I guess I'm not woke. Okay, fine. You win with your gay stuff. That's...
Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.